This is the trade recap for Tuesday, April 28th, 2026. Number 8 of 10 for phase 4 of one and done. Our exercise for developing consistency and discipline for day traders. Another fun-filled day in the market. I'm trying to think of anything interesting right off the top of my head. Again, more of that kind of playing around with all-time highs yesterday and then kind of gapping out today. So the question is, did we want to retrace and stuff like that? So things to be aware of. And then try to figure out, again, where to take appropriate trades and things like that, which is something Pat, my mentor and coach, was going over in detail, because this morning was actually kind of tricky in that regard, just kind of where we gap down to what might be in play in terms of levels and moving averages and all that stuff, and kind of the caveats on how to trade them when they're in this kind of position. So that is one of the advantages of having a high-level coach and mentor who knows exactly what they're doing, is they can help you when you kind of have these levels and positions in the market that may not be the easiest to trade. So with that being said, if you're struggling and you are looking for that professional coach and mentor, my recommendation is Pat Mitchell over at tricktrades.com. And he knows exactly what he's doing. He will get you to where you need to be, so long as you are willing to show up, put in the effort, do the work, and really make that commitment. If you're not willing to, then obviously you're not going to really gain what you should from that. But to those that do want to, you can go ahead and jump over to the website, read up on his past, what he offers. He's been at this for over a decade now. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he proves it day in, day out, on screen share, live. If you would like a sampling of the information that he puts out there, jump over to his YouTube page. He has over 1,700 videos. Like I said, he's been at this for over a decade. There is a ton of information over there. It'll just be extremely difficult to pull out all that information, put it together, and do something with it. So my recommendation would be simply to join the service and learn directly from him, especially through the size of program. That will definitely get you to where you need to be if you are truly committed to this. If you are interested, you check the description below. There is a couple links to the membership, save you a little bit of money on your first month, so you can try it out. And with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this morning and the live recording. So this is about 10 seconds before the open. If you're new here, we only trade SPY and Qs. Those are the only two tickers we touch. We don't touch anything else. We trade proper stocks here. Kind of just the way this is all laid out is the charts you see are actually top row is SPY, bottom row is Qs. Charts on the left are the daily charts. Charts on the right are the 1 minute intraday, and I keep my order execution here on the right. These blue levels you see plotted on here are the levels that Pat plots starting the night before and then refining the morning of, and then builds that morning's trade plan around those levels. Once he sets them, they do not move. Now, for this morning, we had kind of an interesting gap down from that high, and now we were kind of playing around with one of the moving averages as well as some other levels. And as Pat really wasn't necessarily liking where we were in terms of the levels, the risk, and all the combination of all those things together. But he still developed a trade plan. We executed it, and it paid off, and it worked just like it does 97 to 98% of the time. And that's just that's the fact. It's like I again, having measured out kind of the hit rate and stuff like this for the past few weeks, it's like, yeah, that is truly that high, and it's pretty amazing. Other than that, again, you can see we're opening below this level on SPY, but it's coming back up into it pre-market. Qs, again, kind of doing the same thing. So it's ultimately got to see what we're going to do when we open. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play. We're about 10 seconds before the open. There's some, again, yellow lines on there of kind of levels I was interested in, just to keep an eye on from like pre-market ranges and things like that. Usually set those as like profit targets and whatnot. So just kind of getting things ready. pops up, take that initial entry with a singular contract. And this was Pat's advice, was just to, again, keep it small, keep it kind of simple and straightforward. So as you see, we're kind of getting that instant reaction right there off that level. So sold the one that I went in with. And then we wait to see if we get a kind of a continuation set up for that kind of to continue that particular trade. So now it's kind of, unfolded over the course of the morning. Or the morning session. So I'll go ahead and kind of step through this. Comes down, and it starts kind of finding some place to base. Pops up a little bit. Going to go ahead and I entered with 1 there. Just to kind of see if we get the rejection of the 5. And it's mainly off of Qs. Qs will blow up spies at it, so we're just trying to see if that happens. Kind of getting hung up there on that one little level there. Qs, again, trying to figure out what it wants to do, because it's right at the 5. Go ahead and enter with another as it's kind of testing that level. Qs is kind of pushing up towards that other, again, top of range right before the open. Just see if we can get that rejection there. It's very calm, collected. Again, nothing to really worry about. And because it can come up so much higher, especially with the range Qs could potentially have, again, you need to make sure you have adequate room to, again, average into. You're not just doing it willy-nilly, randomly, doing it off levels at the appropriate time, and ultimately accepting the risk and the outcome. So going to get ready to add another one. Now we're up to 3, kind of coming back to that top of that candle right before the open. And just kind of see what we're going to be doing. And kind of just plays in and about that for a little bit. Zoom in a little bit more. Starting to come up into the level on SPY. Q just kind of getting over its highs of the morning. Go ahead and see if I can correct into that as well. There's that additional correction right there. Again, Q still has room to come up. Look at my average, where risk is. Again, what I would really need to, again, get in with to potentially correct that average to get the follow through. Adding 1 more as we kind of popped into that risk level a little bit. Now it's kind of getting a little extended. See if we can get, again, a retracement back down. And with 6 at this point. Now with how this is moving, it's coming down to a level, so it's kind of the first support level, so you kind of have to pay yourself. So I paid myself 1 there. It was red. This Q is coming down to that range it has, as well as this little trend that it's forming. Another thing to watch out for again. So again, adjusting the size, kind of scaling out a little bit, reduce some risk. Take another one off to reduce the size again a little bit more as we're coming down, because we can easily hold there and push right back up. So that took away the initial again, profit I had on that first contract, and like an additional like, so I had made 30 on that first contract, and then for each one of these contracts I just sold, lost 30. So I was basically negative or red 30 right now. Just laying things out and then just letting it do what it wants to do. And start stepping forward. Then we get this volatile candle that pushes down. So again, looks like might see again continuation down. So just watch, wait, see what happens. Got a risk level, you know how to stop out, you know how to manage. At this point, not really looking to add any more. I really want confirmation that this thing is weak. There would have been a way to get in, but Pat was guiding us on this one, and it didn't set up exactly like the way he wanted to. So again, gonna pass on any additional ads at this point. And because those two levels are kind of back to back, got to kind of think like, okay, it's going to be, needs to really work itself past that. Qs needs to kind of work itself past this trend, and then it's probably going to, you know, test it before ultimately coming down if it truly wants to, or if it's going to remount. So we start getting some additional follow through. So slowly start peeling out the position. Down to 2 now. Down to the 1. And then just trying to be somewhat patient with this one. Haven't had a whole lot of practice with that, so it's one of those things when it's time to start kind of integrating that in. You know, getting some push downwards, which is nice. And I went ahead and sold it there. Just keep going. But as you can see, it could have held for more or less that level, because it's basically where it came into. So yeah, that was this morning's trade. And here it is on the live. So again, here are the entries. It's a little messy, but again, one of those things where the judgment call to scale out and pay into that level, again, I believe was appropriate. Did Pat do the same thing? He actually didn't. So it's one of those things where I was kind of questioning, was like, should I have done that? And again, given the size of my account, size I'm working with, my experience level, what I was seeing, again, how we have been trained in the past, I deemed it appropriate at the time. So that's exactly what I did. I'm not really second guessing myself in hindsight. Now, if I didn't do that, would I have, again, had more contracts to scale out with? Yes. But again, that's, you have to trade appropriately, and again, not be focused on the P&L. But all in all, again, like I said, it came down, and then, as you can see, kind of popped back up, then ultimately rejected. So it's one of those things where, yeah, we were done at that point in time. It's like, you don't want to be sitting in front of your monitors all day, so just do it appropriately. And that's the big thing. Have, you know, the strategy, the plan, follow the process, trade to trade well, as Pat says, listen to guidance, and everything. Again, as long as you do your part, everything will be fine. Red or green, doesn't matter. And that's one thing I did notice, that this morning, again, very kind of calm, laid back. Again, no real like stressors that really like I could feel or can recall even, which is, again, well, saying that is, I think, good progress, especially again seeing how much it was scaling into the position versus out. So at the worst, in terms of the worst drawdown point. I was down like 200. So I went from positive 30 locked in to negative 200. And then from there, worked that back to a positive 60. So again, right now the market seems to be providing opportunities for practicing management in my mind. So it's one of those things where it's like you just kind of have to really keep at it. And that's one of those things where it's like take the opportunities given to you to build up those certain areas of experience and ultimately see what comes of it. Now, is there critiques? It's like, sure, there's always critiques. Again, were those two initial sells that I did that Pat didn't really, again, were they appropriate? And in my mind, they were. He might disagree with that. I'd actually be curious about that one. But yeah, it's okay to, again, in my mind, to just do as the training has taught us. I'm just trying to think, again, maybe one might say it's like, maybe was there a issue with confidence or anything like that? Like, no, I don't think so. I mean, I trust Pat implicitly or explicitly. It's like the strategy works, his plans work. Yeah, again, it's like one of those things where, again, one thing you can kind of go back and forth on this one. So, but that's more or less my 2 cents, and for me to kind of unravel. So, with that being said, that's more or less all I have on this one. So, this is number 8. So, on to number 9, and then finishing this up ultimately this week for phase 4, and then on to phase 5, which will be interesting. So hopefully everyone had a good morning, and we will catch you tomorrow for the next one. Later.